Welcome to an introduction to Open Badges for learning experience designers. We're going to explore a recognition method that's gaining traction in workplace learning and development. Open Badges can recognize and validate skills and achievements, particularly those gained through informal learning experiences. Throughout this presentation, I'll cover what Open Badges are, how they function, and their potential applications in your work. Whether you're hearing about Open Badges for the first time, or you're looking to get a better understanding of their potential, this overview will help you consider how they might fit into your learning design approach. I'm Rob Stewart. For nearly a decade, I've been exploring how Open Badges can shine a light on the often overlooked informal and continuous learning that happens in the workplace. This work has been both challenging and rewarding, so much so that the Training Journal recognised it with their L&D Professional of the Year award back in 2019. I've put this presentation together to share what I've learned about Open Badges over the years. My aim is to give fellow L&D professionals a solid starting point for their own projects. Think of it as a shortcut to avoid some of the pitfalls I've encountered along the way. After we wrap up, if you find yourself with any questions or want to dive deeper into the world of Open Badges, don't hesitate to reach out. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm always happy to answer your questions and help you explore your options. Now, if you're new to this, you're probably wondering, what exactly is an Open Badge? And that's a fair question, and it's where we'll start. Over the next couple of slides, I'll clarify what makes Open Badges different from traditional badges or PDF certificates. Don't worry though, we're not going to get bogged down in the technical details. For our purposes, particularly around workplace learning, it's not necessary to know every detail about how they technically work. But understanding the key differences between Open Badges and other types of badges is important. So what is it that makes Open Badges unique? As I mentioned earlier, these aren't your run-of-the-mill digital badges or PDF certificates. First off, anyone can issue them. It's similar to how anyone can create and host an e-learning module. This openness is both a blessing and a curse, which we'll explore later. One of the most powerful features is that badges belong to the recipient. They're transferable. That means learners can take them wherever they want them to go. Imagine earning a badge from one company's learning platform and then adding it to your personal collection alongside badges from other sources. This is particularly valuable in industries with high job mobility. Open badges are also stackable. You can design a series of badges that people earn over time, gradually building a comprehensive picture of their own skills and competencies. Good badges come with evidence. This isn't just a generic certificate, it's proof of how the recipient actually met very specific criteria, and that evidence is usually provided by the learner themselves when applying for the badge. This evidence stays attached to the badge even after it's awarded. These badges offer tangible recognition, particularly for learning that might otherwise go unacknowledged. When combined with solid evidence, the badge's value can directly reflect the effort the learner put into earning it. Verifiability is another key feature. While the newer Open Badges 3 standard takes us even further, we'll focus on the current 2.1 standard for this presentation. But even at this level, proper setup makes these badges far more verifiable than traditional certificates. Lastly, they're incredibly easy to share. You want to show off your achievement to your professional network and on social media? Well, it's as simple as posting a link. All these features combine to make Open Badges a powerful tool for recognizing and showcasing learning in the modern workplace. Here is what the inside of an Open Badge looks like. At first glance, it might seem like a simple image or graphic, but there's a lot more going on under the bonnet. Think of this as like uploading a photo to social media. The website suddenly knows what camera took the photo, the ISO settings, and other detail. That's all metadata, information embedded within the image file itself. Open Badges work in a similar way, but with data specifically formatted to the Open Badge standard. This hidden metadata typically includes the badge name, a description, and who it was issued to, usually a one-way hash of the recipient's email address for privacy. It also contains the criteria for earning the badge, who issued it, and crucially, the evidence showing how the recipient met those criteria. You'll also find the issue date, any standards or alignments the badge has, like national occupational standards, and any relevant tags. Some badges even include an expiry date, after which they're no longer valid. All this data might be entirely baked into the badge image, or some of it might link to the issuer's platform online. Either way, it's all tied to that single image file. For badge recipients, this means they can simply drag and drop that image into an Open Badges backpack. That's a digital portfolio for collecting badges. And all of that rich information is automatically pulled in and verified without any manual entry on the learner's part. Compare this to a traditional certificate or a digital badge, where you might only have some basic printed information or just a graphic with no underlying data. This is what makes Open Badges so powerful for recognizing and sharing achievements. They're not just images, they're portable, verifiable records of learning skills and achievement. Open Badges are gaining in popularity, and it's easy to see why because they're incredibly user friendly. Creating and issuing badges is straightforward. You can use one of the many third party online services available, or if you prefer, develop your own in house software. This flexibility means organisations of all sizes can get involved. When it comes to awarding badges, you've got some options. You can set them up to be awarded automatically when a certain criteria are met, or you can leave them open for people to apply for. This allows learners to take the initiative and showcase their skills when they feel ready. One of the great things about Open Badges is their portability. No matter where they're earned, recipients can gather and manage all of their badges in what's called a backpack. There are plenty of free backpack services out there, so learners can choose what works best for them. Sharing achievements is a breeze too. Recipients can easily show off their badges, and importantly, anyone viewing those badges can inspect the criteria and the evidence behind them. This transparency adds real credibility to the achievements. The popularity of Open Badges is skyrocketing. In 2022, 75 million badges were issued worldwide. That was a 73% increase from the 43 million issued in 2020. And remember, these are just the badges that could be counted by the One EdTech consortium who oversees the Open Badges standard. The actual number is likely much higher. This rapid growth shows that Open Badges are meeting a real need in today's learning and development landscape. They provide a way to recognise and verify skills that traditional methods often miss. I mentioned earlier that I've been working with Open Badges for over a decade now, but you might be wondering where exactly did they come from? So here is a brief history of Open Badges, why they were created, where they originated, and when this all happened. It's also worth looking at where Open Badges are now and where they might be headed next. After all, this technology has been evolving steadily since its inception. Open Badges have an interesting origin story. They were created by the Mozilla Foundation, a name you might recognise as the non-profit behind the Firefox web browser. But why would a tech organisation dive into the world of learning recognition? Mozilla launched Open Badges in 2012 with support from the MacArthur Foundation. Their goal was to create a common standard for issuing, collecting, and displaying digital badges across multiple websites. This was revolutionary in the learning space at the time. You see, back then, the learning and development field was grappling with how to recognise skills acquired outside traditional education. We knew people were learning valuable skills through online courses, work experiences, and personal projects, but there wasn't a standardised way to acknowledge those achievements. Mozilla's vision for Open Badges focused strongly on recognising this informal, lifelong learning. They wanted to create a system that could fuel motivation by providing tangible recognition for skills acquired in various contexts. This approach aligned perfectly with emerging trends in L&D. We were moving away from the idea that learning was something that happens only in classrooms or through formal training programs, and Open Badges offered a way to validate and showcase people's diverse learning experiences in their daily lives and in their work. The standard Mozilla created allowed for the rich, verifiable metadata we discussed earlier. This was a game changer. Suddenly, we not only had a way to just say someone had learned something, but to provide context, criteria, and evidence for that learning. If you're interested in learning more about Mozilla and their ongoing work in this space, you can visit them at www.mozilla.org. In late 2016, the stewardship of open badges transitioned from Mozilla to an organization then known as IMS Global, which is now called the One EdTech Consortium. This shift marked an important evolution in the open badges journey. One EdTech is a membership organization that's well known in the learning technology space. They're responsible for publishing various interoperability standards for educational technology, all under a royalty-free license. This commitment to open standards aligns well with the original vision of open badges. One key difference in One EdTech's approach is their strong focus on institutional and supplier needs. While Mozilla's emphasis was largely on individual learners, One EdTech brought to the table extensive experience in working with educational institutions and learning technology providers. This institutional focus has helped drive the wider adoption of open badges in formal education settings and in corporate training environments. It's also expanded the use cases for badges beyond just recognising informal learning. Looking to the future, One EdTech is working on Open Badges 3.0, which will integrate with verifiable credentials. That's an exciting development that promises to make open badges even more secure and widely recognised. For those of us in the L&D field, this evolution means open badges are becoming an increasingly powerful tool for recognising and verifying a wide range of skills and achievements from informal learning to formal qualifications. If you're interested in staying up to date with these developments or getting involved in shaping the future of open badges, you can visit One EdTech's website. Their work continues to drive innovation in how we recognise and validate learning across different contexts. Now that we've covered the history, let's shift gears and talk about why open badges are necessary. This is an important question to consider because if you're going to use open badges, it's one that other people are going to ask you. The needs that the MacArthur Foundation and Mozilla identified back in 2012 when they launched open badges, well, they're still very much with us today. In fact, you could argue that those needs have become even more pressing in our current learning and working environments. As we dive into this, think about the challenges you face in recognizing and validating skills in your own organization or in your own work. Chances are many of these challenges align with the very issues open badges were designed to address. We've all seen it. So much of the informal, continuous learning that happens day to day goes unnoticed. It's almost like it's invisible, isn't it? But here's the thing, people who invest time and effort into their professional development deserve to shine. They shouldn't have to hide their hard work and their growth. This is where open badges come in as a game changer. They provide instant recognition for learning achievements, big and small. What's really cool about these badges is that they carry evidence of learning with them. So when someone shares a badge, it's not just a shiny icon, it's a window into their effort. You can see if they just met the criteria or if they went above and beyond. It's like having a backstage pass to someone's learning journey. But it gets even better. Open badges allow for endorsements or testimonials to be added. Imagine a respected colleague or industry expert vouching for your skills right there on your badge. That's powerful stuff. Now, here's where it gets really exciting in terms of open recognition. As learners collect these badges over time, they're not just gathering digital certificates, they're building a rich, evidence based portfolio. This portfolio showcases real work, real projects, and real growth. It's a goldmine for recognition of prior informal learning, or something that can be used by learners to support job applications further down the line. So when we design badge criteria, we need to think carefully about the evidence we ask for. We're not just validating a skill or knowledge, we're helping our learners build a compelling story of their professional journey. It's about giving learning the recognition it truly deserves and empowering people to showcase their growth in meaningful ways. Here's something we've all seen in our L&D roles: the need for learners to really take charge of their own development. For every person who's fully committed to their CPD, We know that we've got quite a few who still see learning as something that just happens to them, it's done to them, usually via a computer screen. It's that old consume content, take a quiz, get a certificate, job done routine. But you can use open badges to shake things up. We want to get our people out of this passive mindset and into one where they're actually driving their own learning. It's about them thinking, how is this going to make a real difference in my day to day work? We can design badge criteria that specifically require evidence of learning transfer so that people know it's not just about absorbing information, it's about applying it in real world scenarios. Because effort is visible and rewarded with open badges, people are more likely to put in that extra work. They know that it won't go unnoticed. It's like shining a spotlight on their growth. Now, I'll be honest, this might be a bit of a culture shock for some folks. But if they stick with it, something amazing happens over time. They start to develop self directed and self regulating learning habits. They become the drivers of their own development. And here's a key difference from traditional certificates: a badge isn't just an endpoint, it doesn't signal that is the end of a process. Remember those endorsements and testimonials we talked about in the previous slide? Evidence can continue to be added to badges even after they're awarded. So it signals the start of a learning journey, not the end. The key takeaway here is that open badges can help shift our learning culture. They encourage ongoing development and they give learners more ownership of their progress. As L&D professionals, our goal evolves from simply delivering content to facilitating more self-directed learning experiences. This approach can lead to more meaningful and impactful professional development outcomes. Now that we've covered the basics of open badges, let's dive into their real-world application. Remember when I mentioned that 75 million open badges were issued in 2022? But it's time to unpack what they're actually being used for. I also pointed out earlier that the ease of issuing open badges is both a blessing and a curse. Well, we're about to see why that's the case. In the next few slides, we'll explore some common uses of open badges, both the good and, quite frankly, the not so good. Let's start by addressing some of the weaker uses of open badges that I have seen in the field. Unfortunately, these examples make up a significant portion of badges currently being issued. And for informal and continuous learning, this kind of use might actually be counterproductive. One common misuse is awarding badges for simply attendance or course completion, when there's little to no effort required from the learner and no unique evidence collected. It's essentially just creating a digital version of our traditional certificate, and this doesn't leverage the true potential of open badges. You might also see badges being used as a low stakes incentive or reward, like earning a badge for completing, say, 10 e learning courses in a month. These types of badges often miss the mark and they can send the wrong message about what is valued in learning. Quiz passes are another area where badge use can be weak. Unless we're talking about a rigorous, moderated exam for a certification, awarding badges just for quiz performance is poor practice. It reinforces the idea that knowing the right answer at the moment of being asked is more important than applying that knowledge back on the job. Lastly, while not necessarily bad, simply tacking badges on to existing awards is again a missed opportunity. If you're already giving out certificates and then just adding a badge as an afterthought, you're not really taking advantage of the badge's potential to gather more meaningful evidence of learning and application. As L&D professionals, we want to move beyond these surface level uses of open badges. We want to leverage their full potential to truly enhance our learning and development initiatives. With that out of the way, here are some examples of stronger, more impactful uses of open badges in workplace learning. First and foremost, open badges can encourage learners to be active participants rather than passive consumers in their own learning journey. This shift in mindset is crucial for meaningful professional development. One powerful application is bite-sized portfolio building. Badges can motivate people to create a portfolio of evidence, showcasing their learning and its impact on their work, one step at a time. This ongoing process makes continuous learning more manageable and tangible. We can design badge criteria to support reflective learning. By prompting learners to consider the what, so what, and now what of their learning experiences, we encourage them to think critically about transferring new knowledge back to their jobs. Open badges can also play a key role in nurturing a learning culture within an organisation. When used effectively, they can promote open sharing of knowledge, foster discussions, and encourage peer support. Another strong use is improving situational awareness. Badges can help individuals understand their strengths and weaknesses, while giving managers insight into emerging talent and skills gaps within their teams. Perhaps most importantly, the evidence submitted for badge applications can be a goldmine for evaluating the effectiveness of our learning resources. Instead of relying on satisfaction surveys, you can use that real world evidence submitted by learners to gauge the true impact of your learning resources. By focusing on these stronger applications, open badges can drive meaningful learning and development. Now that we've explored both the weak and strong uses of open badges, let's focus on what they can specifically do for you. Whether you're an L&D professional working within an organisation, or whether you're a freelance digital learning designer, open badges can be a powerful tool in your toolkit. They can help you achieve better results in your current role, or serve as an additional offering on top of your existing services. In these final slides, we'll look at how open badges can enhance your professional practice and create value for your organisation or clients. One of the most significant benefits open badges offer is their ability to bridge the gap between learning and practice. Whether your learners are engaging with content on a screen or attending an in-person event, badges can be the catalyst that encourages them to apply their new knowledge in real-world settings. As L&D professionals, we can design learning experiences incorporating real-world activities and challenges tied to the badge criteria. This approach reinforces learning and provides tangible evidence of skill application. Open badges also excel at promoting peer interaction, reflection, and the recording of learning experiences. These elements are crucial for deep, lasting learning, but are often overlooked in traditional e-learning formats. The badge application process itself adds value. When learners submit evidence for a badge, we have the opportunity to assess their work and provide feedback, something that's often missing from conventional e-learning. This assessment loop, including the chance for resubmission if needed, can significantly enhance the learning process. Let's not overlook the power of endorsements and testimonials. When we include these in our badge criteria, particularly if we require management endorsement, we're creating a strong incentive for learners to apply their knowledge in practice. It's a built-in mechanism for ensuring learning transfer. Even if you're already creating engaging, high-quality learning experiences, incorporating open badges can give you an additional competitive edge. They offer a tangible way to demonstrate the impact of your learning initiatives, and they can set your offerings apart from others. For freelancers and agencies in the L&D space, open badges present exciting opportunities to expand the services that you offer. During your regular learn and design process, why not start identifying potential open badge opportunities? Not every learning challenge can be solved with content alone, and by incorporating badges, you can encourage real-world action and measurable improvement in your clients' organizations. There's a growing demand for expertise in designing badge criteria and learning pathways, as well as in evaluating existing open badge programs. These are services you can offer to set yourself apart in the market. Many organizations lack the time or specialized skills to assess badge applications effectively. This gap opens up an opportunity for you to offer assessment as a service, ensuring the integrity and value of badge programs. While there are established players in the open badge platform space, some clients may prefer a more customized approach. So if you have the technical expertise, you could help your clients set up or build bespoke badge technology that meets their specific needs. Lastly, as badges gain popularity, there's an increasing need for consultancy on their effective use. Remember, we've discussed both weak and strong uses of badges, and many organizations default to the weaker implementations. You can position yourself as an expert, helping clients leverage badges to their full potential. As we wrap up, let's recap the key takeaways about open badges and their role in workplace learning and development. Since their launch in 2012, open badges have seen a significant rise in popularity. And this growth reflects a broader need in our field for credentials that are data rich, portable, and easily shareable. These qualities make open badges particularly well suited for recognizing and encouraging informal and continuous learning, areas that traditional credentials often struggle to address. One of the most powerful aspects of open badges is how they make learners' efforts visible and rewarded. This visibility can be a strong motivator, encouraging greater effort and tangible performance improvements in the workplace. It's important to acknowledge that implementing an effective open badge system does require investment of time, resources, and thoughtful planning. However, when done right, the results can be truly transformative for both learners and organizations. Lastly, as learning experience designers, open badges represent an exciting opportunity. They offer a new tool in our arsenal, allowing us to create more engaging, impactful, and measurable learning experiences. Open badges stand out as a versatile and powerful tool for recognizing, encouraging, and validating learning in all its forms. Whether you're looking to enhance your current L&D strategies or expand your service offerings, open badges deserve serious consideration as part of your toolkit. And with that, we've come to the end of this introductory presentation. I want to thank you for watching. For those of you who'd like to review the material or dive deeper into the topics we've covered, I'm pleased to let you know that all of the slides and additional resources from this presentation are available for download at dgty.uk/DLDB1. I'd also like to remind everyone that this presentation is released under a Creative Commons license. You're welcome to download, share, and use these materials in your own work or organizations, as long as you don't make any alterations and provide proper attribution. We've covered a lot today, so please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or want to discuss open badges in more detail. You can find my contact information at the web address shown on screen. Thank you once again for your time and interest. I hope you found this presentation valuable and that it inspires you to explore the potential of open badges in your own learning and development initiatives.